Today's conversation is sponsored by First Generation Capital Partners. If you're an accredited investor and you want to know about how we're helping other accredited investors keep more of their income, go to firstgencp.com/going long.
You're listening to the Going Long podcast with Billy Keels, the #1 podcast for long-distance real asset investing.
So welcome back once again to the Going Long podcast with Billy Keels. We're back for another one of our solo episodes, continuing to deliver on the promise and making sure that we are giving you this, not just the strategy, but the tactics and the actions. And also really, what are some of the things I'm thinking about? What are some of the things that we have seen that we know can help you get to your goals and your dreams much faster? And so also want to make sure that we're recognizing the honest written reviews because you continue to take time. And so today we're going to highlight another one of our honest written reviews, and then we're going to get into today's conversation. So today's honest written review comes from MKLAP111 and talks about not always you can invest in your backyard. So goes on to say not everyone should invest where they live because we got a whole world of opportunities to live in and or invest. Billy's a perfect example. He brings so many great guests to constantly keep showing that it's possible and that it's not very hard. Highly suggest to everyone who does not want to invest in their backyard. So I want to say a big thank you to MKLAP111. Really appreciate you continuing to share that. And also listen, if you want to have your name and your honest written review shared with literally people in over 30 countries that we're with a podcast that's in the top 1.5% of podcasts globally, then make sure you leave us your honest written review. Once again, we also take this because it helps to make the podcast even better, being able to adapt and do things like we're doing today, which is helping you get to your right destination for your investments. And today we're going to take a little bit further than when we had episode 229. I'm going to recommend if you have not listened to episode 229, you go back there, check it out, because it's also going to help set the foundation for today's conversation. Because where we left off last time really was selecting the right destination. And by the time we finish today's conversation, it's going to be a brief conversation. Not only will you have a number of new ideas how to select the right vehicle, but I'm going to give you some very specific tactical actions that you can take today to start to gain even more clarity. So once you've gotten a chance to get clear on the destination, and once again, we were using the idea of being able to retire in your 40s and being able to do that. And we talked about how to do that specifically. Like I said, if you want to find out more about the specific concrete steps that we walk through, go back and listen to episode 229. It's really brief, but it's going to be very helpful to get you to continue to build today. So one of the things that happens is, you have the specific destination, but maybe you don't know how to get there. And one of the things that I like to say typically is if we use a destination like a wonderful, amazing city like Barcelona, there are a number of ways to get to Barcelona. If you are living on the East or the West Coast of the United States, for instance, if you don't feel comfortable getting in a plane, maybe you want to go from, and we'll say the Bay Area of San Francisco, you're going to drive in a car all the way to New York. When you get to New York, you've used a car. Now you're going to use a boat because you want to get on a boat from New York, and you're going to take that to Lisbon. Then once you get to Lisbon, you're going to get on a high-speed train, and you're going to go from Lisbon to Madrid. And then from Madrid, you're going to get on a scooter, and you're going to go on the scooter from Madrid to Barcelona. Different ways to get to Barcelona, but you've finally gotten to the destination. That's one way. The other way is, you feel very comfortable flying, and so you decide that you're going to get in a high-speed train from the Bay Area, and you're going to take that to Chicago. And then from Chicago, you're going to get on a plane and you're going to go nonstop from Chicago to Barcelona. Both of these ways are completely legitimate to get to Barcelona. And you've used the vehicle that you felt the most comfortable with getting to Barcelona. It's very similar when you look at how you're going to select the right vehicle for you to get you to your investment destination. The thing that happens is usually when you don't have a criteria, you don't really know which vehicles you feel the safest in. So because you have that lack of clarity on which vehicles you feel safe in or don't, then it creates more sense of insecurity. When you have a sense of insecurity, you typically don't do anything. You're stopped and you're stuck where you are because that may be one of the ideas, or there may be another idea is that every single vehicle sounds fantastic because you're listening to different podcasts, you're watching different videos, and everybody makes it sound like it's super amazing, and that's the vehicle that you should take. And the reality is, when you're terrified, either because you have a lack of clarity or because every single thing looks and sounds great, it's going to lead you to the same end game. It means that you're probably not going to take any action because it either sounds too bad or everything sounds too good. So what I'd like to do is share a couple of questions that you may want to ask yourself to help you start to gain clarity. Get rid of the high highs and the low lows so that you can start to select the right vehicle and or vehicles, because personally, I believe that there is no one vehicle that gets you to your destination. It is the combination of the number of vehicles that you feel comfortable with the teams that you feel comfortable with, and or the person who is actually doing the work. So solutions. Let me give you a couple of very simple questions that you can ask yourself to start to take action. The first thing I would say is, what role do you want to play in terms of the investment? And what I mean by that is, take a look at, do you want to be someone who is very active? Do you need to be able to pick up the hammer, to go to the property, to go to the investment, to see that all the time? Or are you someone who feels comfortable being able to vet a team and be able to invest passively with others? That's a real question, and it's a real understanding. And I'll just use my own example. In the very beginning, and I think everyone knows, I opted to invest directly because I wanted to actively invest. I wanted to have the ownership because I needed the experience. I know that about myself. This is a lot that it's going to be important to understand who you are as a person. Do you need to gain the experience first, or do you feel comfortable with relinquishing that direct responsibility, actually vetting the person, the team, and then being able to allow them to do the work? That's the first question I believe that you need to get really clear on and be really, really honest with yourself. It doesn't mean that if you decide to be active that you can't become passive later. It probably means that you're going to recognize all the work and the hard work that goes into it, and you're going to gain a perspective for it that you'll either want to continue down that path or maybe you're going to want to change. That's the first thing. The second thing I would say is, after you understand whether it's you want to be active or passive, is how well do you understand the vehicle that you're looking at? What I mean by that is, we talk a lot here about real assets, and there are a number of different real assets that you can look at. Do you understand how things work from a real estate perspective? The fact of the matter, you understand the business model. There are rents that come in. Those rents then have different operating expenses that come out. You need to pay for repairs, for maintenance, for taxes, for insurance. You have teams of people that you need to pay, lots of different operating expenses. From that, it brings you to your net operating income. And then if you have a mortgage or some type of debt, you need to pay that debt. And then everything else after that, more or less, you get a chance to keep and or redistribute to others. If you understand that business model, you understand that asset type, then fantastic. Very similar thing if you're looking at self-storage or mobile home parks, very similar business models. If you're looking at something that, if you're looking to invest in other hard assets, maybe something like an ATM machine. Well, you understand that people go to a machine, they pay, they have specific transaction fees. And if you understand that, then that may be something that you want to do as well. Maybe you want to be a mom and pop and type of shop that gets started. You own those machines, or maybe you want to invest with someone else. Or you may be someone who works in the energy space and you understand that the production of new oil and gas, it's by barrels, and those things happen. And when you are producing that, then that creates return. So depending on which, and I just use these as examples, but these are many other examples, any of the other examples of things that you invest in. It could also be paper assets. That may be your thing. Definitely not my thing, but it may be your thing. It's understanding the business model and how comfortable you feel with that. And then understanding how those different vehicles can help you. Meaning, if you're looking at something that is traditionally a passive income stream, i.e., the IRS says that it's his passive income by very typical things like rental real estate, royalties, and you're looking for that because you like the way that it creates consistent returns as well as has a lower tax structure, then maybe that's where you want to go. If you're someone who is a high wage earner, you are not a real estate professional, and you are someone who is enjoying not having to do the work, you like consistent returns, and you also like not having to pay high taxes, well, you may want to look at something like the energy space, because that is something that will allow you to achieve the goals. And these are models that you understand, and these are benefits that you're specifically looking for. And then from there, and lastly, like I said, I want to keep this very tactical. What are the different steps that you need to take to actually move to action? Because if you answer these questions, but you don't take action, that really doesn't help you very much, because ultimately you want to be able to take action on the information that you have so that you make the most informed decision possible and then be able to move towards your goal. You may find that when you move towards the goal, it's not the one you want. And so you pivot, you do something else, or you may decide that that's the thing that you want to do and you want to continue to move forward. So let's get into some of the very tactical steps that you can take to actually move forward to start to take action. Because if you don't take action, then there's a very slim to no possibility that your current situation will change. So we've talked about some of the questions that you want to ask yourself, but let's talk about also too, what are some of the very concrete steps that you can take from this point to actually start to move forward in action. So we use one of the examples, and maybe you want to you've listened to the podcast, you've thought about, okay, listen, I like the place that I'm living in, but this is not the right place for me. So you want to find out what are the steps that you can take, and you want to learn from someone else's mistakes so that you don't make the same mistakes, and being able to set up your long distance investment system and those processes. One of the very first things that you can do is today, right now, go to billykeels.com/7 mistakes. You will get a chance to get a guide that's going to share with you the mistakes that I made so that you don't have to make those same mistakes as it relates to going out and creating your long distance investing machine. Also, the next thing for someone today who is a high wage earner, you are someone who is looking to create consistent future returns. You don't have to do all of the work, and you're also looking to reduce the amount of income tax that you're paying. Well, in order to do that, one of the great ways that you can find out is take action right now and go to firstgencp.com/going long. There is a guide. We're going to talk to you about the things that you can do to actually start to get more informed and be able to take action so that you can, once again, select the vehicles, get more informed on the vehicles that are right for you, and be able to then start to create movement forward so that you can help to change your situation. So like I said, want to use these conversations to really be very strategic, but then also give you very tactical actions that you can take so that you can start to move forward. So with that, hopefully this has helped you to get more clarity around how you can go out and select the right vehicle for you, for your family, so that you ultimately can get to that destination that we talked about. So sure that today's conversation is going to leave you with lots of new ideas. Would love to know what those ideas or those thoughts are. Would love to get your honest written review as well as your feedback. So if you want to take a second to do that, would be greatly appreciated. Hey, don't forget, I'm going to be sharing these honest written reviews across literally people that are in 30 plus countries and over tens of thousands of downloads, which is going to be great for you to also get that visibility and share with everybody. So listen, while you're working on that stuff, I'm going to go ahead and prepare for the next conversation. So go out and make it a great day, and thank you very much. Trust that you enjoyed today's conversation. And once again, today's conversation was sponsored by First Generation Capital Partners. If you're an accredited investor and want to find out more about how we're helping accredited investors to gain their personal freedom even faster, go to firstgencp.com/going long.